It's been about a year since I've done a deck tour or a container garden tour. This is what I consider my small kitchen garden, and I have a variety of different things in here, including shrubs, vegetables, annuals, and it just makes for a nice little display. Let's take a tour. So I'm going to start off the deck and look at the little nest boxes or the planter boxes I have off the deck here, and talk about all the different things that I have. I had a lot of surprises this year, and I'd like to go through all of that right now. So the first surprise I had, although I kind of knew it would work, is the cosmos reseeded themselves. And this is a specific variety, and I cannot find the packet. So if anybody knows in the comments and you want to say what it is, it's great. It's beautiful. It's got a pink throat. It's got a pink throat and a yellow eye, and it grew like crazy. All of it self-seeded. It's just gorgeous. And then I actually have this tower of peas growing. I didn't want a lot of peas. I just eat them raw and they're ready to be harvested and they taste delicious. And this is just a regular sugar snap pea. And the neat thing about this display is I actually have, let's see if I can show on the other side. If I can get around. The neat thing about this display is I found this cool spiral. It looks like a slinky. I can see it, and then I just put a stake in the ground and I just let it go around there, and it's growing up the slinky. And I thought that was just really neat because it stores nice. All I have to do is untie the top and it will collapse completely down. I will link it in the description below, but what a cool find. I'm probably going to get some more for next year. You can see on the edge of this flower bed I planted some petunias and some marigolds just to add a pop of color. And what is my little potager planter area. These are herbs, fresh herbs. I love herbs, love drying herbs, love cooking, especially with Italian herbs. This is thyme. I grew that from seed. This is actually, I got a few here and some there. That's actually chamomile that reseeded itself. So I'm actually going to dig those up and pot them in 4-inch containers and move them to a different area, because they'll take over this whole box if I don't do that. And I need them to be in a place that they can thrive and not create a problem for me. So yeah, so the thyme I grew from seed. And then the rosemary I grew from seed, which for me is the first time I've had it be successful. So it just takes a lot of patience for it to come up. And it's a little smaller than it should be. I should take a little snip out of it because I'll probably take a little snip off it, and that will help it branch out a little bit more. I have till frost, and I might cover it to have it go till October. Right now we're at the last day of July, and it is hot out today. It is 90% humidity. I feel like I'm swimming in the air. We were supposed to get rain, and it just dried up, so I got to water too. Pea tower is looking beautiful. Tucked in here is also some spinach that I grew. We've been eating that, and I need to plant a lot more, but this is what's left of it. It gets hot, it starts to bolt, so I might have to get another bunch of seeds started so that I can have a fall harvest of spinach. Across from the other nest box is this one, and in front of it and around are my potatoes that I decided to grow in sacks this year. What a great invention. I really like it because I can move them around. I started them in the nursery and then moved them here. We've been harvesting the new potatoes, and we're just going to leave them in here, and I'll probably empty one of the bags to see what's left. The interesting thing on this is they actually didn't flower for me, which I thought meant I wasn't going to have potatoes, but when I looked it up, sometimes they don't. These are Norland Reds. Actually, why don't I grab a bin and dump one of them out and let's see how many potatoes we have. That's always fun. So I've actually moved over to the nursery to dump this out. I've got a nice tall container. What I'm going to do is reuse the potting medium. These were potted in peat moss. These were potted in peat moss and pine bark, and I can reuse that to pot up some trees. So I'm going to just dump it out. Let's see what we got. We've been harvesting. Oh, there we go. See, pretty. We've been harvesting the new potatoes, so there may not be much of anything left in here. But look at how cute those are. Beautiful. So like I said, we've been harvesting new potatoes, but this will be really good. I'm having meatloaf for supper tonight. So in the other garden box here, I have some oregano and some carrots, which are still growing. They take forever to grow here, but they're going to be delicious. I love roasting them. I usually can go all the way up until after frost in October and harvest, and then they get to be really large, and the larger they get, the sweeter they are when I roast them, which is really good. And then I have some, and then here I have some cilantro, which I grew for my husband. I may make him some salsa, we'll see. And some more petunias. And then this surprise was a nice surprise for me. This is thyme. I've already cut it and I've got some drying. This actually overwintered, and I'm in zone 4 way up by Minneapolis, so that was nice to have that. These are some sweet bell peppers, which are coming along. The heat just finally started kicking in a couple of weeks ago here, and peppers, of course, need a lot of heat. And this is a little lettuce, which actually reseeded itself over winter in one of my other containers, and I actually just transplanted it to this garden. I had some table onions here, and I've already harvested them. And then this is a curly leaf parsley, which again I plant for the butterflies, but I've actually just harvested some of that, and I put it in, I hung it up to dry in my laundry room, which is a nice dark dry location for it. And of course, coming around the other side, here I have some more rosemary. And this one I actually bought this plant because I wasn't sure I'd get my seeds to go. I hadn't been really successful in the past, but it's looking pretty good. And here is some sweet basil, and I've already been harvesting like crazy. I actually made 2 full batches of pesto already, and it was absolutely delicious. Moving further to the outside, these are some rhododendrons I got, and I haven't grown rhododendrons in years, and I've taken some cuttings to see if I can get them to propagate, and because my husband and I just bought some woods, and I'd like to get them up in the woodland, although I think the deer will ravage them, but I thought I would try. And they were just beautiful. They bloomed for a long time. So in this little container, I have a Supertunia Jazzberry by Proven Winners, a Vinca vine, and this was an annual variety of phlox. And the gal talked me into getting it, although I think the Supertunia took over the container enough that next year I'll just get a trailing variety of something and a Supertunia and call it good. I happened to get these tall urn style planters after like a late season shopping at Menards, and they were like half price. They could be pretty expensive, so stay on the lookout after season for good deals. In this corner, I have a couple of roses, and then this is a skyrocket juniper. I wanted a narrow form juniper, and I'm thinking I probably should put a Taylor juniper in here, but I did the skyrocket, and I'm not in love with it because it tends to be a little bit open and wispy. So I'll probably come in with my new shear and cut this back and see if I can't get it to be a little bit more compact. I'll shoot a separate video for that. And I've got 2 roses in this section, and they're doing really well. This one is a hybrid tea rose called Julie Andrews. It's already put on 1 set of blooms, and I cut it back, and it's very fragrant, very nice rose. I really like it a lot. The other rose I have here is called Calypso, and it starts out, it's kind of a polka dotted pink, like white, and it's at the end. You can see it's kind of falling apart, so I'll just deadhead it. But the petals are really nice. Again, this one is called Calypso. Here they're done, so I'll just keep pulling it back. The thing is if you have roses, you want to keep pulling those hips off, and then what will happen is you get the new growth that will keep coming. And the nice thing about the newer variety of roses is they will go up until frost, which I really like. Last year, I put my copper bird bath in here, and then I put a couple of trellises behind it, and I'm probably going to grow Clematis up it, but I haven't decided just yet which ones I want to put there. I like something that grows a lot, but I haven't decided. I may actually end up moving containers behind it and let it grow up that way. But for right now this year, they're open. And then I potted up a couple of little containers. This is a Tradescantia zebrina, which actually was one of my houseplants, and I just simply took it and stuck a bunch of pieces out, and it grows wonderful outside. And I can take cuttings and bring it back in the house for the winter as a houseplant, which is also fun. And then this is a red rubrum grass, which will get really, really big. But I wanted to kind of put these colors together to create an autumn type of container. And yeah, it looks pretty good together overall. Very beautiful. On the east side of the deck, I have some clematis that I'm trying to grow. I don't think I have any blooms on these yet. I don't know that if they're getting enough sun. I may need to push them to the other side or move them a little bit more to direct sun. The deck starts getting sun about 11 a.m. and then it gets sun till about 4 o'clock. So it's maybe not quite enough sun. My maple tree is finally big enough that's blocking it. And then these are some trees that I had last year. Again, they're not blooming. Durante called sapphire showers, which are nice purple, and the hummingbirds typically love them, but I just don't have them in enough sun apparently. Although if you look at the tips, it looks like they may flower on me yet. Maybe I'll move them to a little bit sunnier location. Moving to the top of the deck, I've got a beautiful container here where I've got this salvia. It's called Dragon's Breath salvia. I got that at Home Depot. Dragon's Breath salvia. And then this is a caladium that I grew from tubers, and that went really well. And this is another proven winner. Let's see which one this one is. This is called Suntunia, or Supertunia Daybreak Charm. So yeah, it's really nice. Probably needs a little fertilizer. It's looking a little yellow. Maybe I'll put a little bit of blood meal on it. So moving up onto my little table, I just set these containers here because I didn't have anywhere else to put them. I was going to repurpose a lot of this stuff, but again, I just left them in a display, and I think it looks okay. So here I have a Nubia Tradescantia, and there's the Zebrina, another full bowl of it. I'll take a look at that. Great color. This one's the Nubia that has more of the white on it. And this is actually a Chicago fig, which is in a small container for now. And I'll probably up pot it next year. But for right now, I'm just going to try to see if I can get it to live. This is one of my cool boxes I got last year, and I can link it. I grew, I think, peas up it. And this year I'm growing morning glories. And these morning glories were grown from seed. And anytime I grow from seed and I start it late, which I did this year, they won't necessarily bloom until September. So I got about another 30 days before they're going to probably come. And then I've got a little lettuce that I found growing somewhere else in my yard, and I've transplanted it in here so I can get it. Hopefully it will survive. We've got a pretty big heat wave going on right now. And I got a little bit of lavender, which I can't leave in there over the winter, but I thought for color I just shoved it in there. I've already harvested a lot of spinach and lettuce out of this box, and now it's time for the morning glories to shine. So this year I have planted a Sweet 100 tomato in my big container next to my kitchen, some lavender, and I actually shoved a couple of watermelon that I grew from seed. I don't know how they will do, but I thought we'd give it a try. And I've got some, I think, that are right back here. Let's take a look. A couple ripe ones right here, or semi-ripe. So it looks pretty good. I think I'll give it a taste. Moving over to the other corner of my deck, I actually have some lilies. These were special lilies that have been growing from bulbs for a couple of years. They're done. I need to deadhead them and put them into my keep safe until next year area, which I need to develop yet in my yard. Do you have that too? Do you have areas where you get containers and they're done, and then you need to move them somewhere so they're not in your main display? There's always room for more gardens. My husband hates it when I say that, but that's the truth. And this morning glory reseeded itself. It's just a brilliant blue. And so it was in this container last year, and it's reseeded itself again. What I did differently is I actually put one of those slinky trellises on it, and it's growing up the pole instead of the slinky, but what do you do? So I have a few more containers of just some annuals here, and then I have another tomato that I'm growing, and I need to really get it trellised proper, and I just haven't got to it yet. And in this container, I decided to grow additional carrots, which I absolutely love the carrots. I didn't have enough time to put more flowers in here, and I really wanted to make more food for myself closer up by my house since my main vegetable garden is a real mess right now, and I'll try to get to that. In this little container, I actually have a little herb garden, and I planted these from seed. So I've got some basil, which I've harvested a couple of times, and I have some jalapenos, which I'll probably make some salsa for my husband if I ever get any tomatoes, hopefully, some bigger ones. And there's a little cilantro that's kind of going off on its own. Right off the back of the deck, we actually have stargazer lilies, and this is a variety pack that I put in several years ago, and it doesn't get a lot of sun, but it's getting enough that it seems to be doing okay. The color contrast is quite amazing. Most people know the dark pink as a stargazer, but they do come in other varieties. And these are just on their way out. We bloomed a little bit early this year. We've had a lot of rain, and it's been a little bit warmer than normal for us, which is fun. And stargazers usually don't bloom in zone 4 till the like August 8th, and like I said, we were at July 30th today. So they're a little bit early, but they're beautiful, and let me tell you, the fragrance is amazing. My husband really loves begonias, so I decided to put three pots of begonias around my bird bath here. And it's really fun. They're such a big pop of color when we're sitting in the house or when we're coming up to the house. This container are my straight 8 cucumbers, and I planted quite a few in here, and I'll only use probably half of what I harvest and give the rest of them away. I've got a ton of flowers right now, but they are all male flowers, meaning there's no fruit on them. So if we take a look at them, you can see the stem, there's no fruit. I have not found any female flowers, and sometimes that can happen where the male flowers will get started first, and then eventually, maybe another week or so, I'll start seeing the females, which will have the baby fruit on them. Just have to be patient and wait. It's looking pretty healthy. It was looking a little yellow, and I added a little iron and some more. I added a little iron and some blood meal to it, but it's looking pretty good. This is my fireworks clematis, and apparently it grows much taller than I expected. I've had it in a container. I've had it in a container for I the whole year, like it's been a full year, and I overwintered it in the container, just covered it with some mulch, and it did just fine. I'm not seeing a lot of blooms again. I'm not sure I'm getting enough sun in this section of my garden anymore. I planted this big maple tree to be able to give me some shade in the evening. So starting at 4 o'clock when I get home from work, it would shade my deck, and it's doing its job, which I think it's taken away from some of my plants. This is another container, which was a little bit of a surprise. I believe this was setting out in my garden, and I had hanging baskets with all kinds of flowers in it. And I think as the flowers died off and dried, the seeds dropped into this container, and it overwintered and it bloomed again. I didn't even know you could do that. So I might start doing some winter sowing of petunias and verbena and stuff like that, because again, I didn't plant this. It did it all on its own, and I'm in cold zone 4, which is good to have. So here's another example of planting too late and maybe the soil being a little bit too heavy or too much peat. I've got petunia in here and a zinnia, which is really pathetic looking. And then I bought a cardinal flower, which has a brilliant red bloom. I planted it in here, and the cardinal flowers love wet, so that should be fine, but the wind keeps snapping it off on me. What I'm trying to do is collect seeds because I couldn't find seeds that I needed to be able to grow some myself and have them self-sow, which is what I want them to do. So we'll see how it goes next year. And then this is actually baby's breath, a variety of baby's breath that I grew from seed. And it gets to be a little bit tall and wiry and blows in the wind, which is what baby's breath is supposed to do. In some cases, I buy flowers, shrubs in the spring, and then I don't know what I'm going to do with them. And so I end up in this year, I decided to just use them as decor on my deck until I decide what I'm going to do. And I might just overwinter them by mulching over them and then plant them next year when I know what I'm going to do. I've been pretty busy and I just run out of time. So what I have here is some Stewart onion or Orion. Put the name on the camera. I'll put the name on the screen. It's Stewart Orion azalea, and it was beautiful orange. I'll see if I got a picture. I think I got a picture I took in the spring when they were blooming. I'm going to put these in my landscape somewhere. I haven't quite decided where, but yeah, those were really nice. Yeah, and this is a firelight hydrangea, which is just starting to bloom. But yeah, if you look at it together, even when the shrubs aren't blooming, just the different colors of the foliage looks really good. You got a lighter green and a darker green. It looks good together. And these are this tub of flowers I actually put together. So I've got some petunias, which I grew from seed in the greenhouse, which is the first time I've ever done that. And then I've got some snapdragons that are in there. And then I have some sweet alyssum in there, and this is like a purple sensation or something like that. And then I had stuck a little bit of that Tradescantia nubia in there, and it looks pretty good. And I have two summer crust hydrangeas. I got one on each side of the deck here. In an effort to increase my Clematis collection, which I'm going to have them growing probably in the French garden along the border years to come, and I'll take cuttings and propagate. This one is Hagley. This one is Hagley hybrid, and it's just a light pinky lavender color, and it's really nice. And I have some other ones which are starting to bloom right now. And then I actually planted some dahlias in here, and these are probably the worst I've had dahlias look. My guess it's my choice of soil that created the problem. It almost looks like I need to add iron, which I thought I already did. You can see the veins coming out on it. I don't know. It's just not happy this year for some reason. I'll take a quick pan view of the front. You can kind of see how everything looks. And then I planted some nice white petunias that I was going to plant in my birdcage garden, which I'm still working on. I decided to move them to the deck so they would get some display time and be useful. Here is another firelight hydrangea, or a limelight. I think this is a limelight hydrangea, and looks a little dry. I gotta water. Mother Nature's not helping me out right now. And this is a blue moon wisteria, which is already bloomed, and it's going to go in my birdcage garden. Here's a little preview of my birdcage garden that I'm working on. I'm going to have the vines growing up and over, especially the moon, especially the blue moon wisteria, which will look beautiful going over that cage. A couple more clematis that I'm growing. This is Huldine, which is white, and it's starting to fade. I need to deadhead it, but I wanted a white one. This is my Prince Charles clematis, which has been just very delightful. It's been blooming a long time. I need to come in and do a deadhead on it. And then this clematis is Cardinal Wazinski, which is the bright pink, and I just really love it. The blooms can be really small or pretty good size depending on the size and where they are on the vine, but really a lovely. This blossom, for example, is really small, and this one is much bigger, and it fades to almost a lavender color. So in this container that I potted up, I have a Caladium postman joiner, which has got that really dark pink, which is nice. And then I have I can't remember the name of this right now. I'll put it on screen. And then I have a standard vinca vine, and some beautiful petunias that I grew from seed. And here I have another limelight hydrangea, which is in the green stage for now, and then it'll slowly turn to dark pink. And then here is another surprise. These are snapdragons that I did not plant. They grew all by themselves. They reseeded from probably a container I had last year, which is fun. And in this bin here, I've got sweet alyssum again, and then I've got some coleus I grew from seed, actually. And then some blue star plants. Can't remember what that's called either. I'll have to look it up. So taking another quick pan around the deck, you can see there's just full of color. It's really beautiful. I think adding the shrubs and the annuals and the vegetables kind of all in an area, again, as a potager garden is just really the way to go. It brings the pollinators in. You can enjoy the flowers and the food. I almost forgot to go to the other side of my deck. So on the opposite side, I have some rose bushes as well. And you got the bees doing their job down in there, buzzing around, which is fun. They have bees going in there. This particular rose is called Campfire, and it switches from the yellow to the pink, or it starts with the pink and then ends with the yellow. I think it starts with the yellow and ends with the pink, which is kind of fun when they change color. Mr. B is loving it, doing his job. Lots of good bees. This rose is called Snowdrift because, of course, it's white. It was really tall, and then we had a problem with the Japanese beetles came and just devoured it. So it probably was 4 feet tall, and I told my husband, let's just cut it completely off. So we cut it off at 18 inches above the ground, and it's coming just fine. See where we cut it, and you can see all the new growth that's coming. So don't get discouraged if you get beetles. Just cut the plants back, and then they'll come again. If this video was helpful, give us a thumbs up so YouTube knows to share this content with others. Also consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our other great videos. If you like garden tours, check this playlist next. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.